From PBS News Student Reporting Labs
and WETA,
this is On Our Minds
with Evelyn
and Eason,
a podcast made by teens for teens,
telling stories about who inspires us.
Hi everyone, so this is our last episode of the season.
Yeah, indeed it is. Time flies.
For sure.
Are you guys gonna miss us? Miss us?
They are not gonna miss us. Or miss us.
Yeah. So we're ending this season of On Our Minds by exploring mentors in our community who inspire us.
Yeah, so last summer I did a program. It's called the Stanford Medical Youth Science Program. And in it, I got to, intern at hospitals and do a very cool research project about health disparities. And my program director, her name is Yael, and she was very inspirational. And so I met up with her and we had a conversation on the Stanford campus about mentorship. Here's what she said.
Mentorship isn't necessarily a formal relationship that you seek out and you say, will you be my mentor? Sometimes it's just a person in your life that helps you kind of find, either information or guidance, or just is your kind of person in your corner to cheer you on.
You feel connected to them.
Exactly, yeah.
So I know that many teens like myself have struggled with feeling imposter syndrome and self-doubt about being where we are and like the opportunities that we get. How do you help those people navigate through these feelings?
When I'm talking to students about, imposter phenomenon or imposter syndrome and how to navigate those feelings, I think it's one, to normalize them,
right?
Because it is normal and it's a human experience. And then two, to remind them that they belong. I try to just remind them that even if they doubt it, somebody saw something in them, that they believe in them, and that they have to now be able to start seeing that in themselves. And somewhere along the line, it's going to switch around. Somebody's going to seek you out and say, seek you out for help, seek you out for mentorship. And you'll be able to turn around and say, I know what it was that helped me when I was feeling those feelings. And in my case, it was somebody kind of literally taking me by the shoulders and go, you belong. You are the person that has to do this now. You have to believe that.
Can I kind of share how you really inspired me as a mentor?
Oh my gosh, please do. Yeah.
So I remember, you were talking about how you were interviewing individual people. We just had a conversation about how you had to literally interview like 60 people, right? And I remember showing up on the first day and you were like, yeah, welcome in, Evelyn. And you were like introducing me to everything. And I was like, how do you know my name? I was like, oh, yeah. And then we had a conversation later and you were like, oh, I remember you mentioned this in your interview that you wanted to do this. And I was like, you have so many people to interview, but you remember like the details about every student. And I think that's really powerful to a student because we want to feel like, someone is really paying attention to us and willing to like learn about the details of our situation. So I think that was really great. That was inspiring for me. And then when we had like issues, we could come talk to you. And when I ran into issues applying for college, I was like, I need to ask Yael. Like, she's the person I think of. So yeah.
Oh, thank you. That really genuinely means so much to hear. So yeah.
Well, yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you for having me. A hug.
Aww.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm so glad that I got to interview her about this because I don't think I would have been able to say all of this to her otherwise. And I think we did have a lot of value in our topic about imposter syndrome and how to overcome that, and how Yael was talking about even at her stage of life, she still feels that.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I do myself experience imposter syndrome in my own work, especially, things like I do photography or art. It's very subjective. There's not one metric to say you're good at this or not. I sometimes go look at my own work and think am I really a good photographer? And I think hearing her talk about it has been really useful and inspiring.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's what a mentor is for, right? Being able to share common life experiences and hearing about how they overcame it. And so you can kind of apply it to your own life.
Yeah, and up next, we have another student who's interested in medicine like you. Alia from New York City spoke with a doctor who's an inspiration to her.
My name is Alia, and I'm a junior at the Bronx High School of Science in New York City. Today, I'm joined by Dr. Sabina Omerhodzic, an amazing ENT surgeon. But to most of Queens, she's simply Sabina, a pillar to many in our community and a rock for her patients. Dr. Omerhodzic, thank you for taking the time to share your story and words of wisdom with me today.
Oh, thank you, Alia, for these wonderful words.
I actually remember the first time we met. It was spring of 2023, and even though I was a little freshman, we immediately clicked. You had an amazing spread of authentic Bosnian food, and you were extremely easy to talk to. Yet, I think what drew me the most to you was how you seemed to have it all. Raising a beautiful family in the city, being at the forefront of your field, and all while remaining engaged with your community. So, take me back to where it all started. What was growing up in Bosnia like, and why did you want to become a surgeon in the first place?
I'm very humbled and I'm truly honored to realize I inspire younger generations. So I was born and I grew up in Bosnia. War broke out in my country in 1992. We all fled to Croatia, where I completed my medical school as a refugee. And then we eventually immigrated to the United States in 2000. And I was always drawn to medicine, and I knew I wanted to be a doctor since I was a young girl. But surgery particularly fascinated me because it combined everything I loved: sharp thinking, precise decision-making, hands-on skills, and an ability to make an immediate impact.
So, what part of your career had to been the most difficult, and tell me a little bit about how you overcame it and what also brings you joy out of your career?
So, the most challenging time in my career was definitely 5 years of surgical residency. The relentless 60 to 80 hours work week, and sometimes even more, was really hard. I once would sleep at the red light after a 36 hours shift. A one-time police officer had to knock on my window to wake me up. And through it all, my sister's support meant the world. I truly learned that mental resilience and the love of a family make all the difference. The biggest joy right now comes from seeing patients who I treated years ago. Each time they remind me that we improve quality of lives, we save lives, and it's a humbling reminder every single time, because right now we keep busy with seeing new patients every day and we sometimes forget.
I mean, not only are you known for your skills in the operating room, but one of the biggest impacts you've made on the city is through community work. So, my question to you is, how and why do you get involved with our community here in Queens?
So, there are many community organizations west in Queens that fight for better public education, environment protection, infrastructure improvements, etc. So, we all united in fighting for better urban development plan for Western Queens, for better school construction, protecting waterfront, protecting open space, securing spaces for affordable artist studios, small local businesses, and the fight to build better Queens is still ongoing.
And what advice would you give to young women like me who want to enter medicine and remain impactful outside of work?
My advice is quite simple. If medicine is your passion, don't be doubtful, go for it. Because when you love your profession and your job, other things just fall into right place. Friends, community work are a source of great love, inspiration, and energy. And all these relationships and activities are slowly built over time so everybody can find the right balance between work, family, and the community. So I encourage you strongly to go for it.
Thank you so much for speaking with me today, and I hope others feel just as empowered and inspired as I am by your story.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Wow, I think what hit me most was how Dr. Omerhodzic went from being a refugee in Eastern Europe to a surgeon in New York. I think the level of resilience that must have taken her to get that point is something really inspirational.
Yeah, and I also love how she reminds us that being a doctor or any other profession shouldn't and won't take away from you being a part of the community if you put in that extra effort, right? And that success is not just about titles, but also showing up for your people.
You know, as someone who volunteered throughout high school, I found it really hard to balance that, you know, commitment to my community with my, you know, very limited schoolwork. It's not like being a surgeon, I'm just a student, but having someone be a surgeon and then be doing that, you can really see the passion and the commitment she has in her work.
Our last story is a bit different. It's from a student named Ginger. And it's not a person that's inspiring her, but rather a place in her community. A place where Ginger finds inspiration to be herself. Take a listen.
Good morning.
My weekdays begin when I have to blast music to wake my 4-year-old niece. We share a room. Good morning.
Good morning.
I have to get her ready for pre-K while my mom and older sister return from their night shifts. I'm a junior in high school, but I juggle a lot of responsibilities while at home. I take care of my niece, I cook dinner, I clean, and I also do my homework and study for my next big test. We live in the South Bronx. There are noises everywhere. People in my block are often playing loud music, and their upstairs neighbors sometimes sound like they're training to run for the marathon. Not only do these outside noises get under my skin, but my head can feel noisy too, because my mind is always thinking about what I have to do next. Oh my god, I have to get home today before my test for school tomorrow. I have to get my niece to school before the bell. I have everything I need in my bag, right? Lunch. Do I have my lunch?
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
The subway quiets my thoughts. Here I have no responsibilities, no duty to do anything for anybody. The train is the one place where I'm just another person moving through the city. My job is to merely exist. I take the 4 train from the Bronx to Brooklyn Bridge City Hall. The ride should take about half an hour, but that's only if the MTA is having a good day. A sick passenger, track maintenance, or the dreaded announcement can make my commute much longer.
We have been held in the train traffic ahead of us.
And yet, I've come to savor the ride, no matter how long it takes. The only thing predictable about my commute to and from school is that it's always unpredictable. Not one day is the same. I've seen passengers dancing, singing, rapping, running from the cops, and cursing out conductors. My commute is different every day, but it's hardly unique. The average New York City high school freshman spends 31 minutes getting to school. They may take a combination of the subway, city bus, Staten Island ferry, and just a sidewalk. My commute frees me to let go a little. I have no responsibilities. At school, I worry about what people are going to think about my hair, my outfit, or the way I speak. On the subway, though, I don't worry about anyone's judgment. I don't know them, and they don't know me. My time underground also forces me to disconnect from social media. Instead, I look around and notice the little things. I remember how after one really stressful day at school, I saw a lady with a note sticking out of her lunch bag. The note read, "Have a great day, Mommy. I made this with a lot of love." And just like that, I completely forgot why I was so upset. I now only had my family in mind. I spend almost 6 hours on the train weekly. That's a lot of time, but when I'm on the train, it feels like time stops. And sometimes I crave just a little longer to be frozen in time. But then I hear,
Brooklyn Bridge, City Hall.
and I come back to reality, where time doesn't stop for anybody.
You know, I do love subways. I think I've had many like fond memories in subway stations.
Like the sandwich?
No, the subway. So, you know, I grew up in Beijing and my house was like...
You just developed a Canadian accent for that host.
No, I've always been doing that accent.
Oh, okay.
No, but I lived next to like a subway station and like everywhere we went, we would take the subway, and I've had so many like fond memories growing up, and even like visiting China like nowadays, like I take the subway a lot, and I think it's what a great place.
In my case, I've always taken the car, to be honest.
Oh,
but
spoiled.
I really have that same feeling when it comes to riding in a car, because it's like a feeling of being in between 2 destinations of your life. Like in that moment, you don't have to worry about the next destination, because you're in between and you're only getting there. And it's like a peaceful time to just sit there and think about anything else.
Yeah, I agree. And as I got like my driver's license, I definitely felt a lot of that, you know, like when I need to like wind down and kind of just escape a little bit, I go on drives.
We're kind of living in a world where, you know, information is constantly being dumped at us and our attention span is getting diverted everywhere. And having that place is really important to center yourself, I think.
This season, I actually got some pretty decent takeaways from it. Like, as the season went on, like, the theme of, like, who inspired us actually, like, there became kind of, like, a reoccurring theme of, like, having people around you and help you. Like, I don't know if you noticed, like, we kind of started, like, noticing that trend of, like, the people who inspire you, like, kind of help you through life and are really valuable in you. And I was thinking the other day about that too.
Yeah, I mean, I hope they do. Like, I think that would be the point. But I was also thinking that, you know, sometimes we don't take the time to think about these things. And having a podcast and a platform to actually speak these words out loud allowed me to have a time of reflection to think about these things where normally I wouldn't really consider these.
Yeah, deep talk time. Usually these kind of conversations are reserved for like 1 a.m. while you're like almost falling asleep on like calls or something like that.
I think that might just be a you thing.
But anyways, I guess that's the last episode.
I guess this is goodbye. See you later, actually.
See you later. As I tell my friends and family and people around me, see you later, alligator.
In a while, crocodile.
Oh, wow.
Today's segments were produced by Alia and Ginger from New York City. Lead podcast producer Briget Ganske produced this episode with editing and mixing by Wyatt Mayes and help from Genesis Magpayo.
Ryan James is our camera and audio operator.
Approval and oversight by editorial director Marie Cusick and executive producer Leah Clapman.
Theme music by Isaiah Brown. Additional music from Blue Dot Sessions. Have a great summer, everyone. See you next season. Wait, actually, we won't get to see them next season because we're not the hosts.
Yeah, shoot.
Well,
good realization right there.
See you later, alligators. That's the best goodbye. You think they're gonna miss us?
To be honest,
No.
To be honest, no.
Briget, are you gonna miss us?
I'm gonna miss you.
That's it.
Aww.
See, we have one person that'll miss us.
We built a one person fan base.
I wouldn't call it a fan base.
Yeah, you're right.